been a while, I know. I've been busy. Life's been lifing. I can't say, oh, I just been busy. I've been struggling in terms of how am I going to put everything together, all the stuff that I want to put out. I've been sort of struggling in terms of how am I going to do it because I want it to be meaningful. I want it to be impactful. I want it to be all those things. So I found a bit of a strategy. Holy Spirit, thanks, my guy. I found a bit of a strategy of how to do all of this, how to do the videos in a kind of a sequence or kind of a serious way and get this going. So today I want to talk about something big, something maybe you might have seen the title of the video and you're like, what is this girl about to say? Still have my ring on. I'm still married, happily married. Yay. Let's talk. Let me discuss with you guys why I'm saying what I'm saying in the title. Okay. I'm gonna try my best to explain what I mean. Let me try and use an analogy because andiyazi how to explain, but marriage is a trap. And if you are not trapped, if you are refusing to be trapped by the marriage will swallow you out in a sense, right? So there are some things that I discovered when I got married. One of the things that was shocking to me was the triggers that came as a result of me being married. One of the things that triggered me was my husband, and Jay, the man in him was just annoying to me. I was triggered by sex. I did not like it, didn't want to do it, hated the idea of it, I just hated it. Like, doing housework triggered me so much. And over the course of time, because I've conversed with God about my marriage a lot, I still do, and over the course of time, something that has made me understand is that marriage will trap you for healing, for growth, to challenge you to, I want to be tried by fire, purified. You take whatever you desire. Marriage is a fire. Marriage is a cage. Marriage is a locked room. It's a box. It takes you in, and it's like when you go in, you are in a room of mirrors, and all you see is yourself, and not your beautiful self, not your beautiful married self, but your ugly self, your imperfections, your struggles, your issues, your traumas, your problems, your irks, your quirks. Everything is just staring at you, and you are in this place, you're trapped in this place. So you either spill out on your spouse, because instead of dealing with what you're seeing in the mirror, you just lash out. You lash out to your spouse, you lash out to everybody, you lash out at the marriage and all of that. I feel like I am not making sense. Because I'll tell you now, guys, the thing about marriage is that it doesn't allow you to be the same person throughout. You cannot not change. You cannot not grow. You cannot not be better. And if you are not following sort of like the lead that the marriage is giving you, uzowa, and you'll fall out. And if one of you in the marriage is following the marriage guide and the other is not, there are chances where the other person is able to carry the next person to a point where they are able to also stand properly in the marriage. There are instances where the other person gets tired of the other person not pulling up their weight, all of that. But ideally, for the both of us in the marriage, we are supposed to be looking in this mirror, looking at what it's showing us, and dealing with it whenever it comes, and dealing with it whenever it comes. So that is the trap of marriage. The trap of marriage is that you're going to be challenged you are going to be, you see where your wounds are in your soul, in your heart, in your mind, in your brain, in your life. Marriage is gonna touch those holes. You know, honestly, on the marriage is gonna do that. Ukwenza is to scratch. When you have a wound and you touch it and it's what's the word? It's uncomfortable, it hurts, and you keep able. That's what marriage does to wounds. It's taking out the pus, it's taking out the blood, it's washing it, it's cleaning it, and none of that is nice. It's only nice after the wound is healing, or the wound is now a scar, it is healed, and you're like, that's what the marriage was doing to me. That is essentially what I mean by marriage is a trap. Marriage showed me that I hate men. It was the biggest shock of my life when I discovered that. And because all my life I've always wanted to get married. I've always wanted to be a married wife, whatever. Marriage showed me that sisi wena awathandi amadoda. You detest men, you dislike men, you loathe men, you hate the authority of a man. Like it you, and that led me then to, deal with the issue of why do I hate men? I'm married to a man. And this is a time in my marriage where I was very irritable, man. I didn't like my husband. I wanted him around, but I didn't want him around. It was a really confusing time. And the Holy Spirit then revealed to me that you dislike the authority of a man because in your upbringing, your father was an authoritarian. You didn't have a say in anything. You didn't have an opinion. Like he was just the voice, the prominent voice that killed everybody's voice. So that's why it's so hard for you to have this authority figure that is your husband in your life. It just takes you back to the time in your life where you had no choice, where you had no say, where you had nothing. And the fact that you grew up in a male dominated environment and you saw sort of like the males basically like get away with murder, right? One of the things that happened to me when I was growing up, there was an age between me and my brothers where we were all not allowed to leave the house and gallivant the streets and go see our friends. But eventually, I was the only one that was not allowed to do those things. My brothers could go to town without getting questions like, what are you going to do? How are you going to meet? What's going to happen? My brothers could go with their friends all day. I could never wake up, bath, eat breakfast, be out on the streets with my friends all day. I was not allowed to do that. My brothers, them dating, it was a laughing matter. Their girlfriends were known in the house. It was a joke. Oh, wow, when are you dating Mangma? When are you dating this one? Me dating was a problem. I got hidings for dating at the same time my brother was dating. I'm feeling it again. Like, so the thing just made me look at men like, you understand? So it was marriage that showed that to me. And now I was trapped in this mirrored room where I'm seeing the attitude. I have a bad attitude towards men, which means that I have a bad attitude towards my husband because he's the closest man to me right now. And back then, those were the closest men to me in my life, and they were just getting away with murder. I'm saying it again, I'm sorry. And that is one of the things that marriage showed me. So now I was trapped in that, do I now change my attitude towards men, or do I just brush this off and leave it? If I had left it, I would have had to exit the same and continue being this bitter woman who is challenging my husband at every turn and at every corner. But I had to deal with it. I prayed a lot, spoke to God a lot about it. It was very painful to confront that, to know that now, because of all of that, because of everything that happened when I was this girl, watching these boys and these men just live their lives and I couldn't, There were times where, because they were doing things with my dad, they could talk to him about stuff, and I really couldn't have conversations with him, and I wanted to. I wanted to ask him questions about things. I wanted to hear his opinion about. I just wanted to be able to talk to my dad, but I really couldn't. But they could, because they go to the mountain with him to herd the cows. He takes them to all of these man things and all of that. So it was a really painful wound. It was really a hard thing to deal with for me in the marriage, when I realized that now there's this man in front of me. He loves me. I love him. We are here, but I have this thing that's blocking me from actually enjoying this thing, actually enjoying him, and allowing him to just be a man. God had to teach me that that behavior that I saw from the men in my life growing up is not the standard of manhood. Whatever that my dad and my brothers and my uncles and my cousins did, that I saw, that annoyed me, lana naninyanya ngabantu abangabafana, that was not the standard. God told me that that's not the standard of a godly man, of a good man. And he told me that you have a good man with you. You have a good man that is on standard. He's not perfect, he's not great, but he's a godly man. So he does not deserve your attitude. He does not deserve your loathing. He does not deserve your hatred. He didn't do anything to you. And also having to reckon with the fact that I cannot now, I'm not at a place, or my relationship with my dad is not a place where I can go to him and tell him this kind of thing so that he can apologize. That's not going to happen, right? So I had to deal with it alone by myself. I had to get to a point where God was like, listen, this is how things were back then. This is how the culture was. That was the traditional way of living back then. That's what was normal, but it was not the standard. So I had to move on from that. And that is just an example to sort of illustrate English. This is just an example, guys, to illustrate to you that when you are married, you are trapped. You're trapped to heal. You are trapped to change. You're trapped to grow. You are trapped to deal with your stuff. And if you refuse to do that, the marriage will be. Next thing, you're going to spill, or you're going to bleed onto your spouse, and then all of these issues. Like for instance, if you got married, you were not ready to get married. Instances where you got pregnant, and now it's like, okay, now we have to get married, and then maybe you're not really ready to get married, but because now there's a baby, and then you got married, and then the marriage will bring that up to you, that mamela, baby girl, utshate ungekho ready, utshate ungekafuna utshata, you kind of like were forced into this marriage. Now let's deal with that. If you refuse to deal with that, you're going to resent your spouse, you're going to resent your marriage, you're going to resent the baby. That is the reason for why you got married. It's just going to be a big blow up of things that are now, instead of them dying out because you are dealing with them, they sort of like chew on the marriage. They eat the marriage, and then the marriage dissolves and the marriage dies because the issue is not dealt with. When it was the marriage that told you that, Sissy, you have a problem here. And this is something that I really love about marriage, is that it stops you in your tracks. And until you deal with this thing that the marriage has shown you, like, you cannot move beyond that point. And the more you move beyond these things, the more you move, the sweeter and lighter the marriage becomes. Right? I'm just thinking of something the Holy Spirit told me. It's out of topic, but there was a time where he asked me, do you think your marriage is the best it could be? And I was like, yeah, I think it's great. And he was like, it could be better. And then he started showing me other issues. Babes. And I was like, yo, another thing I have to deal with. And I was stubborn for a while because I was like, yo, I'm so tired of having to deal with stuff, you know. But I had to eventually because now I have the framework of when I'm triggered by something in my marriage or when something comes up in me, iyavuka, iyavumbuka, when something in me because of the fact that I'm in marriage, I'm in covenant, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, I need to deal with it. And I've learned that I can do that together in what's the word? I can do that together with God with the help of the Holy Spirit. He's the one that will guide me in terms of pray in this manner, read this Bible verses, go back to this time in your past, go back to this moment in your life, go back to this time of between your mother and your father, go back to this time between you and your father, go back to this time between you and your family, all of those kinds of things. Those prompts that I get from the Holy Spirit, that those little helpings that it gives me, they help me grow. And Mamela, from when I got married to now, I am a totally different person. And I credit this to the marriage. I don't want to lie to you. I also credit it to motherhood because also motherhood is just another trap. Yo, talk about. But I credit this to the marriage because of the marriage has touched so many of my wounds. It has disturbed so many of my wounds that I've had to confront all of these wounds and I've had to deal with them and I've had to heal through them and I'm better for it. I'm better for it, right? So I think that it's important for all of us to go in knowing that you are going to be disturbed. When you get married, whatever issues you have, we are born, even if there are hints now, even if now you are pursuing healing, you're in therapy, you're doing all the stuff to get your life together, to heal, and all of that. All of the wounds, all of the things, all of the experiences that have touched your life are going to show up in marriage and they're going to manifest in your marriage in different ways. And that is just the trap of marriage, just working to basically set you free from these wounds, from these issues, from all of these problems. So anything, some of the things are difficult to, don't necessarily come out. Some of the issues aren't properly triggered unless you're in covenant with the person and you're basically trapped and there is no way out. Yeah, but so you can think that I'm okay, let me get married. I think I'm fine now, right? But you are fine in the sense you're okay in the context of you alone living your life, but in the context of you living with somebody else, sharing your literal self with somebody else, because in marriage, you don't only share your house and your bed, you share your bodies, you share fluids. I'm so sorry, but you do. You share fluids. That is something about sex that just really annoys me. Like, why are the fluids? Ugh, ugh. But anyway, that is the depth of the interconnectedness that comes with marriage. It does say that you literally become one. Yeah, because when you actually think about the act of sex, it's two bodies connecting, right? It's two bodies kind of becoming one body and depositing things into each other. Ugh, I'm sorry. But yeah, that is the thing. So things will come up. You're in close proximity with another person. You are experiencing life from a different perspective. You're experiencing life from another angle. You might have healed from a lot of things, yes, but marriage will still point out other things that are lingering, other things that are lingering. And do not be resistant to the touching of your wounds by the marriage. Do not be resistant to the promptings when the marriage tells you that, Sissy, you have a problem here. You have a problem with this. You have a problem with that. Do not be annoyed. Take the hints and deal with the matters. Because, like I said, if you do not deal with the matter, it is going to eat your marriage and wound your spouse in the process and wound you in the process. It's like marriage cannot survive a place of stagnation in a person, a place of no development, character wise, wisdom wise. Yeah, gone. So as a person, if you're not growing, developing, changing, becoming better, you are holding back your marriage, you're killing your marriage. So I want you to go in with the understanding that you are going to be triggered, and that's it, and that is not a bad thing. That is not a scary thing. It is painful, right? It is hard, but with the Lord, you can do it. You can get through anything, you can get through all of it. Something that I want you to note that really helped me in this journey, because I was only able to start really focusing on healing when I was already married and I had already done a lot of damage to my husband. Something that the Lord taught me, I don't know if it was the Lord or the Holy Spirit or it's the thought or whatever, but I made the decision that as I am healing, I am going to let my husband know about each and everything. If I'm feeling this particular thing, I'm being triggered by this particular thing, I'm gonna let him know. So like things like when I discovered that I hate men, I had to let him know that I have been talking with the Lord and this is what has come up and this is why I've been behaving the way that I've been behaving. I'm sorry. This is what the Lord told me. This is what I need to do. This is how you can help me. And it's been very beneficial because now you don't want to be you're healing, and then you outgrow your partner, and then now you look at them like they're kinda. So it's been very valuable for me to take my husband along with me in the healing journey, just by keeping him informed of what is going on, all of the discussions that I have with the Lord, that I can tell him, that the Lord allows me. I tell him and I let him know that I've discovered this issue. I'm hurting in this way right now because I've been triggered by one, two, three, and I remembered this thing that happened in my life before, and it happened this way. Or when you do something like this, it does this to me, and I've learned that because of what happened back then. Now, when you do this, it affects me this way. It helps. It helps. Okay. So before you say I do, remember you are walking into a trap of wound touching, a trap of pokes. It does are good. Something that's you're walking into something that's gonna do this to you. It's gonna be all over you, because marriage is a tool that God uses to sanctify us, to help us, to heal us, and because sometimes we're so invested in the beauty and the glory of marriage, we are disturbed by the sanctification of it. We are disturbed by the power that it has to change us, to help us grow. We just want to be stuck in the cuteness of it and the lovey-dovey of it. And we don't want it to be a bit hard on us, to help us grow and to help us change. Because in essence, marriage is a tool. It's a tool for sanctification. It's a tool for self-control. It helps you in instances where, as you now you cannot live without sex. Then marriage is a tool that can help you, because until we're not allowed to have sex outside of marriage as believers. So marriage is something that helps you stay pure sexually. Yeah, we get what I mean. So when you are considering marriage, know that you are going to be triggered. You might be triggered on your wedding day. You might be triggered on your honeymoon night. You might be triggered on the first week back from the honeymoon. You might be triggered a year. You might be triggered. You might be getting triggered the whole first year of your marriage. It's okay. The marriage is helping you to heal. The marriage is helping you grow. It's challenging you to come out of things that you've stayed in that are not good for you, that are unhealthy for you. It's challenging you to stop habits, to stop actions, behaviors that are not good for you, behaviors that are dangerous for the marriage. Because I will say it again, if there is an issue and you do not deal with the issue will eat the marriage. and the marriage will dissolve, will shrink and die. Okay, so be prepared for the trap. Come in strapped and ready to heal, to be shokolozed, to be shaken. Be ready for that. Marriage does that to a person, and it's I don't know if you knew me, let's say like back in 2014, 2015, and you've been in my life in all of those years, you definitely know that there's a difference. And one of the reasons why is because of the marriage. The marriage has helped me heal a lot. So walk into the trap with the confidence that it is not, the trap that is not meant to harm you. It is not meant to do anything bad to you. The trap is there to help you heal and grow. Good evening to see you. I've been saying the same thing over and over again. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for sticking to the end. Marriage is not a trap to say that, hey, do not do it. Do it, but be aware that it will you. It will not let you rest with your issues. It will not let you lie down in bed with them every night. The marriage will bring them to your attention. And when it does, deal with the issues, babes. Deal with the issues. We all know now, we live in a world where there's so much information about how to deal with triggers, how to deal with issues, how to deal with trauma, and all of those things. Use those resources that are available so widely and so openly to heal. When the marriage gives you the landscape of these are your issues, take that opportunity and use it to heal. Walk into the trap and let it trap you so you can be free. I like the paradox of that. Anyway, thank you for coming to the other side. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.